just to see you smile. I'd do anything that you wanted me to. When all is said and done, I'd never count the cost. It's worth all that's lost just to see you smile.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing great, staying safe and sane and healthy, and just everyone's getting along out there. As you can see today, we got us a little co-host. Miss Willow is going to be sitting in with us, and I'm giving her afternoon lunch right now. But yeah, I recently was asked to go on Major's Mess Hall podcast, and just kind of, with it being June and being Mental Health Awareness Month, that kind of thing, they wanted to speak to somebody who kind of deals in this kind of stuff, somebody who you know, handles this kind of thing on the regular, and that would be me. You know, with my channel and that kind of stuff and the subject matter that we cover, that kind of deal, they thought it would be a perfect fit to kind of just sit down and talk about it a little bit, and maybe help some folks. And if it does help some people, that's amazing. If you just enjoyed the episode all around, then hey, we really appreciate that as well. A lot of work goes into these things, and you know, a lot of time and effort, and you know, with that, it's huge, you know, and it really does impact quite a few people. And like I said, even if we just reach out to one person and they feel that, you know, this has really helped them, or has touched them, or has gave them something to identify with, then, you know, that in and of itself is just massive. So, you know, we truly do appreciate everybody that does listen to these shows, everybody that comes to my channel, everybody that watches, everything like that. And, you know, it truly does, you know, make everybody else, you know, that's a part of it, you know, feel like they have a purpose, like we're doing something that actually works, something that is truly helping others. And yeah, that was kind of our aim with this episode. Now, if you go back and listen to their other episodes, you'll notice that they're not as heavy. They're not like this, you know, they're more kind of funnier kind of stuff, you know, jokes and that kind of thing. And, you know, they have some really awesome guests on there. I know a lot of you guys have seen before that we all have kind of a tie-in with the Trailer Park Boys. Well, that would be my connection right there with the Trailer Park Boys. Me and Gavin both know Mike Smith, who plays Bubbles. We know Jonathan Torrens, who was J-Rock. You know, that kind of stuff. Randy on there, you know, that kind of thing. But you know, we've met these guys over the years and talked to them, and just we kind of became buddies, you know. But on their show, they have a bunch of people on there. They have Barry Dunn on there. John Dunsworth was on there before he passed away. You know, so I mean, they've had a lot of really good guests on there, and not just Trailer Park Boys. They've had people like animators from like Warner Brothers, and you know, people that do voice acting and that kind of stuff, and just, you know, really big guests. And he's been doing it for 10 years, Gavin has, and you know, it's impressive. It really is. You know, he's truly built something that's absolutely amazing, and I'm super proud of him. So Gavin, if you're watching this, I love you, brother, and you're absolutely killing it. Chris, it was absolutely fantastic meeting you, sir. It was really nice. It was really refreshing talking to somebody else who also has PTSD, somebody else who deals with this, and, you know, can actually see eye to eye with it. And we also talk a little bit more in detail about trauma bonding and what that is. And, you know, we get into a little bit of that in this episode, and I'm going to drop a clip in here in a minute, and you guys can see a little bit more what I'm talking about. It's not the most exciting subject matter. We get that. We know that it's not going to be the most attractive thing in the world. It's the one thing that a lot of people tend to shy away from, that they don't really want to be a part of, and they don't, you know, they try to avoid in their life. But it's also something that at times is unavoidable. And, you know, I kind of wanted to bring that into perspective a little bit for a lot of folks as well. So, but yeah, without further ado, I'm going to drop that clip in here in just a minute, and you guys can check that out. And like I said, it'll give you a little bit more insight and perspective on, one, what I do here on the channel, two, what it's like to talk to another person who also has PTSD, and three, just having a good time and having some laughs and being understanding of each other and each other's lot in life, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm gonna drop that clip in, and you guys check it out. And me and Miss Willow here, we'll be right back.
So what's like what are your coping strategies? Like how do you cope when you're having a bad day, especially with panic attacks? Like what do you do to get out of it, to get out of that funk? What works for you?
Uh, More or less. I mean, as silly as it sounds, meditate. I kind of close my eyes and just kind of just and just kind of just don't look at the bad thing. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
kind of the way I go about it. Um, having a good partner, having a good support system is definitely key. Uh, I mean, my wife can just kind of be sitting there doing something and look over and just be like, "Oh no." And she can tell it's coming. Here it comes, and she immediately knows just to jump in and be like, I got you. I can see it coming. I can see you don't even have to say anything. I can already tell. Here we go. We're getting ready to be on this ride for the next 5 minutes that you don't really want to be on.
Yeah.
And for her just to sit there and be like, that's that right there, just that alone is one of the most amazing things that you can possibly do, and not just for me, but for anybody that's in that same scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, a hand on the shoulder, a hug, uh,
Yeah, the
reassuring
slightest thing.
word, a
Yeah.
text message when
So
for
does she,
someone to say, "Hey, how you really doing?" You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
all of those things just make a massive difference.
So for the panic attacks, like does she try and talk to you about stuff that will take your mind off it? Is that like a good way of getting through it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she'll literally look at me and just be like, "Where are you? Like, where you at right now? Are you with me?
Mindfulness.
Are you there? Where are we in this episode right now?" And she'll know exactly. Like, it sounds silly, but she knows exactly what I'm talking about, and she knows the feeling that I'm saying. Even though she doesn't have them, she still gets that same type of. She's seen it so much with me and dealt
Yeah.
with it so much with myself that she knows the questions to ask. She's, where do we attack this from? Are you still there? Are you here back? Are you back home with me now? And again, that it's key to know to know how to talk about it and know how to map it out once it does start happening.
Yeah.
And having her around to help out with that kind of stuff is definitely huge.
Yeah, well, it is because I was just thinking about it. Like, not everyone's got a partner like that. You know, there is some people out there that they're just
Yeah.
disconnected from that kind of thing, and they're just not a helpful person. Sometimes it's not a natural thing that somebody has to be able to help someone when they're in need like that. So it
Hmm.
actually is amazing that you've got Kim for that. I mean, that's incredible.
I think
Absolutely.
a lot of the time, in my experience anyway, a person has to have been through an element of suffering with their mental health to grow empathy for it. Like I remember years ago, like 10 years ago before I had my struggles or they really started, my wife was saying to me like you need to go and get counseling, like, you're heading down a path and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, nah, I'm fine. You know what I mean? Like it's like, why are you even talking about this, And if anyone had mental health struggles around me, I just didn't understand. I had no empathy for it whatsoever. I did the whole, oh, you'll be all right, or like dismissive of it. Like it wasn't intentional. I meant it from a good place. Like I was trying to G people up and like keep them on the up and up, but I didn't understand. And it took
Yeah.
me personally going through my own shite. And, I was diagnosed PTSD for different reasons and anxiety and depression and all that. Like my thing, like the first panic attack I had, I was in the shower after coming home from basically walking out of a job on like the second or third day. Like don't even remember driving home. Got in the shower, always a comforting thing for me. For whatever reason, I just had like a panic attack and I ended up on the floor of the shower, scrambled out of the shower, crawled over to my phone, literally thinking I was having a heart attack to call my wife or the doctor or an ambulance or something. And by the time I got to the phone, the worst of it had sort of passed. And I realized that it probably wasn't a heart attack. You know what I mean? Very similar feelings to what you described there, like with sweating and stuff. Now, how they generally manifest in it, like I had one this morning, was in bed. Like I'll wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, anxious, panic attack for no reason. And like
Spring right up too.
exactly my coping mechanism in that sort of headspace is literally to lie there and I just repeat to myself in my head for hours sometimes. Everything's good, but everything's going to be great. Everything's good, but everything's going to be great. Over and over and over again. I'll repeat that to myself. I'll put my hands between my legs so I've got like pressure on my hands or something. And
Hmm.
that's just like sort of like my dealing with it there. But yeah, like until I went through, back on the original point, I had no empathy for it. And it was not for not wanting to, it's just you couldn't put yourself in that couldn't put yourself in that position because you don't understand, you know what I mean? It's like I could never pretend to know what it's like losing a limb.
Yeah.
You know
Right.
what I mean? Like we can talk about it, but I'll never understand unless that happens to me. And God forbid, I hope it doesn't. But I think it's the same with like mental health, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. 100%. Absolutely. I mean, there's, again, there's so many different facets to PTSD. There's anxiety, there's depersonalization, derealization, and there's, a lot of people say, "Oh, I have PTSD," and it's just like it's a nice, pretty bow that goes on it. But no, man, it's like a tree limb, or a tree. It branches out to so many different things, and a lot of people don't understand that. But again, to expect somebody to understand that that's never dealt with it is just ridiculous. I mean, I could never ever possibly get somebody to understand what it's like to lose a limb unless you've actually been there,
Yeah.
because I could sit and describe it all day long, what it's like, this is a surgery you're going to go through. This is what you have to do. This is what it's going to be like for your PTS. I mean, for your physical therapy, everything. But until you've actually been there,
Just
it's
words, isn't it?
absolutely,
Just words and
absolutely,
theories, yeah.
and that's what I try to do with my YouTube channel is it's mainly there to help people deal with their new normal, is to help
Yeah.
people that they've already been under the knife, they've already lost their limb, they're sitting there in bed looking around going, what the hell do I do now? What this is, I'm stuck, I'm useless, I'm all this stuff. I'm there to help you focus on not feeling that way, and understanding that no, you're not useless. Right now you're going to have a little bit of probably, a month, 6 weeks, something like that of downtime, maybe even a couple months. And at that point, you're going to get your prosthetic, you're going to start moving back on, and you're going to realize, oh, well, again, it wasn't a huge roadblock. It was just a bump in the road,
Yeah.
and
I think
that's much the same with mental health as well.
yeah, definitely. And I think like, it's I think it's easy, especially in media, to focus on the people who've like had an amputation, for example, and have gone on to compete in the Paralympics or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
I think like the average man, like even you to a degree, you've gone and like you've started a YouTube channel. That's more than I imagine 99% will do. You know what I mean? To talk about that. So like, I think given a perspective to those people who probably feel like they're on their own. You know what I mean? Like they're the only person in the world going through that, even though realistically, that's not the way. You know what it's like. That applies to
Yeah.
mental health as well. When you're in
Yeah.
that headspace, you think you're the only one until you like, when I first started talking about my mental health with people, I realized that like, I was like, right, I've got to start talking about it. I've bottled it up for years. I'll talk to a mate. I'll just say I'm feeling rough. I'll say I'm going through some anxiety and depression. And as soon as you start talking, you realize all these people come out the woodwork like, oh yeah, like who know what it's like if they've either suffered themselves or they're your wife. You know what I mean? Like who
Yeah.
watch a loved one suffer every day.
Hmm.
Um, and you realize like how many people are actually sort of like impacted by it, and no one says anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
better, but there's
I
still
think
a
as well, like
stigma.
you kind of feel like, when this is just me speaking from my own personal experiences, but like, and it's so important to talk about these things, and that's my biggest like piece of advice is the way I get through it is to talk about it. But for a while, it just felt like you don't want to tell anyone, you don't want to talk about it because you're burdening that person by telling them all this stuff. When actually that's not the case at all. What you're doing is you're taking this burden that you're carrying around, this issue that you have, and you're telling someone else, and you're not passing it on to them. They're actually helping you thin it out and get rid of it in a sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's the biggest
Absolutely.
thing that I do as a coping thing is to just talk about it. If you have
Absolutely.
if something's bothering you, there's no worse a thing you can do then keep it to yourself. That's the
Yeah, not
worst
at
thing
all.
you can do because it just festers away, makes it so much worse, and then you have a massive problem on your hands, and then all kinds of other problems occur. And unfortunately, I've not been through panic attacks. I have sort of felt like I have in the past when I had got a gallbladder pain. I went to the hospital about that, and they said, "Oh, you're having a panic attack," because apparently the symptoms to the pain that you get here from gallstones is the same as having a panic
So,
attack. Like it wasn't a panic attack, but it's never got to that point because I feel like I'm quite open and honest with my feelings, and I'll just talk about it with a
yeah, I'm the
friend,
same.
with my wife, like whoever. It's so important.
The thing is, as well, you said like it spreads, it sort of thins your own problem. It definitely does. But like the amount of people I've spoke, like I've done talks on mental health and all sorts now in the past. Like I've been really lucky to be able to sort of like pass on my experience. I'm not like some of the people I've spoke alongside are like ex special forces soldiers and stuff who like their experience to me, I just felt like an imposter having that conversation. Going like, why the hell am I stood next to this dude who's watched friends be blown up in front of him or whatever else? You know what I mean? And like my experience was having a meltdown that I didn't see coming and ending up on the sofa for weeks and not eating and wanting to put the toaster in the bath with me and all that kind of nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, and I think when you say about thinning it, what I find talking about it also does is it gives permission to the people around you to talk about theirs as well. Because
Yeah,
as soon
it
as you
does.
I
open
was
up
getting
and you
ready to
say
say that.
something, like you find people turn around and go, "Oh shit, yeah," like you know what I mean? Like, or people will get really real with you and will like share their experiences. And as soon as that happens, there's this amazing bond between two people. It doesn't even have to be someone you know what I mean? You can
Yep.
just have this connection with someone and go, I get it. And just
Yeah,
doing that with each other, going, I get it and I get you, that is amazing. It's an amazing thing. It makes your
Absolutely.
problems seem so much less. You know what I mean? Like I used to, when it first happened to me, like God, this may be getting a little bit deep here, but I used to sit there and think like my family would be better off without me. I'm a
yeah.
problem, I'm a burden, I'm this, I'm that.
He said that. Josh has said that to me. He said that exact phrase to me on more than one occasion. And I've tried my best to help talk him through it because it is you do get to that point where you do feel like that. Like I've kind of felt like that as well sometimes as well. Like with you start a new job and you with me, I've spoke to you about this before, Chris. Like you feel like you don't know what you're doing. It's this new job. It's imposter syndrome. Like I can't do this. You're second guessing yourself, and then you start thinking, if I quit this job now, my family are going to suffer.
Yeah,
Wow, they'd
yeah.
just be so much better off without me. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of talks like it's just poison to even think like that.
100%, yeah. And I think it's a real problem amongst men
It is, and but
because
it's the thing is as well. It's just not true as well because can you imagine
yeah,
like when your head's in the right place, actually imagine that playing out like that. Your family will be absolutely
oh,
devastated.
you
Be the
can't
worst
imagine.
thing.
Like, I had a mate who offed himself, and like it was horrific. You know what I mean? Like the void that he left behind. Like this was like I'm terrible with time ranges, but like 10, 15 years ago this happened. And there's still probably not a week that goes by when I don't think about it in some fashion. More because I think at this stage I relate it to my own situation. And like you say, the actual reality of that situation is very different from when you're in that headspace and you're like, you know what I mean? Like my family be better off without me or whatever, like, which is just not true. But at the time, that is the last thing that you can think of.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And like, I'm not saying this is not a problem with women. I'm sure it is, and this is not to take away from women's struggles at all. Like, but I think in male culture anyway, there's like that still that old-fashioned mindset of be the breadwinner, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
be the solid one in the family, be the disciplinarian, be be the hard face, you know what I mean? Like be the
yeah,
one who's calm when everything's falling apart and all. It's so much pressure. Do you know what I
yeah. It
mean? And
is.
like a lot of the time you just sit there and you know what I mean? Like it's so easy for lads to just be, and we kind of touched on it just before we started recording. How you doing? I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
fine.
Fine is like, or
So
okay
many people's
is,
last words are, I'm good. I'm fine.
yeah,
yeah. When the reality
That-
is, it's like great, good, mediocre, average, on the edge of the abyss, fine. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's true. And the thing is, when somebody tells you that they're fine, there's nothing you can do apart from just offer support. And sometimes it's very convincing when somebody tells you they're fine. You genuinely do believe them, which is why it's so important that people talk, men talk about these things. Like if something's bothering you, you have to talk to someone before it
Yeah.
gets to that point.
Here's a question for you guys. If someone asks you that question, do you actually tell them? Are you okay?
Yeah. I suppose it depends. Like if it was just like a passing sort of like, how you doing? You all right? Like I'd probably just say, yeah, I'm fine. But I think it's hard to say because I'm not in that place at the moment. Like, and hopefully I won't get to that place. But I would because I like I have this. I was just saying before. Like the best way to get out of that is to talk to someone. So I feel like if somebody asked me, I would
You'll
tell
say.
them. So
I feel like, you know what I mean? Like big part of my job as a project manager is relationships with people and talking to people. And I have like a daily internal struggle with myself about whether I'm oversharing. Honestly, like if
really,
people say like how you doing, if I'm like genuinely okay, I'll go, yeah, yeah, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like because I've rewired my brain to be like this now. But if I'm having a shit day and someone asks me, there's this instantly locked into the struggle of like, well, do I tell them I'm all right when actually I'm not? I'm struggling today or whatever, or do I be truthful? And like I probably take on a case by case. But sometimes I find myself talking to people and I'm like, why am I telling them this? They probably want to shoot themselves. Do you know what I mean? When the
doesn't
reality
matter.
is
Doesn't matter. You need to talk. If your gut instinct is to tell them, tell them.
tell them. Yeah, yeah.
And if
And
you feel
actually do
regret
feel
after
better
it,
for it
it
afterwards.
doesn't matter. If you feel regret after it, doesn't matter. You just that's the worst of. If that's the worst that you feel a bit of regret for
Yeah,
oversharing,
exactly.
then all the power to you.
But it's so interesting because I've done that in the past where I've overshared with someone and like they've either opened up straight away and started being real with me, or they've come back to me later on or something. You know what I mean? Like 2, 3 hours down the line, like I've overshared with someone in a work setting, and I'm like, oh God, why did they do that? You know what I mean? And I start beating myself up and stuff. And then three hours later or something, a message will drop in my inbox. Thanks for being open earlier. I've actually been struggling myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's
And then you end up
refreshing.
having a proper conversation with people. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just,
It's
it's,
refreshing to know that because there's, you don't feel alone. It's just like, damn, me too. Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
God, it's so great knowing that there's somebody else around me 24/7. I mean, we're not going to start a support group with each other, but at the same time, I can look at that person, at any given part of the day and be like, I feel you,
yeah,
brother.
yeah. It's
You're
that,
having
isn't it? It's
you're
even
having a
if it's a
rough time,
fleeting
aren't you?
moment, even if it's just that passing moment, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've formed connections with people off of those conversations where, like, maybe for them, it's the first time they've ever said that to anyone. And it's
Yeah.
come from me just being a bit forward, you know what I mean? And a bit open about it, you know what I mean? Or like you say, you get that connection with someone where you see them. And the next time you see them, you go, yeah, you ask the genuine question, then it's like, how you really doing?
Yeah. Yeah. It's called trauma bonding.
Is that what
It,
it's got a name, has it? Oh, right,
yeah,
okay.
it's trauma bonding is what it is. It's two people that can identify no matter what you're a soldier. Well, I have surgical PTSD and medical PTSD, that kind of thing. It doesn't matter. It's two people that can still come together and just be like, how's your day going? How is your day going? Not, Mr.
Don't give me
Rogers,
the
how's
woolly
it
canned
going?
response. Give me the genuine answer.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm not talking to John over here. No, we're talking each other. Josh and Chris. This is the conversation we're having. We're not.
Yeah.
We know each other already to this point. Saying in a a fantasy scenario. And say we work together. Well, we already know each other to that point. So why be fake? Why let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Granted, you don't want to just sit and just dump on each other all the time. Like every time you see each other, hey, how you doing? Oh man, pretty good. You don't have to have a whole big long diatribe of your feelings, but at
Yeah.
the same time, it's good to know that there's somebody else out there that when you do see them going wrong, be like, hey, whoa, come here, come here, come here. Let's
Yeah,
talk.
yeah.
Let's
That
let's
hand
go
on the
somewhere and
shoulder as
talk.
you're passing in the corridor, like that squeeze on the shoulder. You know where I am.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. It immediately gives that person a kind of just like a passing phase. They'll stop and be like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah,
No, no, no,
100%.
no, no, no. Come here, come here. Tell us, come here. What's up? Like, let's talk. What is going on?
Yeah.
Versus just like, hey, it's a good day, whatever. You can tell that person is genuinely having a good day.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you start to identify with each other a little bit more. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of scenarios out there, and it's amazing to have that person in your life, really, to be truthful.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a blessing, isn't it? It's an absolute blessing.
So
Absolutely.
Chris,
What
what do you do, Chris, to like
cope,
well, yeah, I guess like cope, but like what do you do to sort of like even when you're in a good place, what do you do to
stay
bring
there.
joy to your life? Do you yeah, stay there. Like what do you do to try and stay on that
Guys,
like that?
there's a lot of things really. Like a big thing that, and I know it sounds cliche, but a big thing that I found helped me over the last few years, and I didn't think it would. I thought it was a bit of a, oh yeah, they all say that. Um, Physical exercise. Like I started running 3 years ago, and at first, even now, to be honest, like I dread going. You know what I mean? Every part of me is like, "Oh, I don't want to go out for a run or do this or do that or whatever. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, um, but I feel myself getting antsy when I don't, and I'll go and do it. And it's just that it's like mindfulness, do you know what I mean? It's just taking out of your usual thing, the endorphins of being out. It doesn't have to be running, it can be walking, and just be swinging your arms around on the spot, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's just doing something that gets you into a place and like meditating. Used to do a bit of yoga. I found that really helped when I was really at my worst because it was just all about mindful movements and things. There's that, playing with my son. I make a point of doing hobbies regularly. You know what I mean? Like I've talked in the last episode about D&D, right? Like a big part of my coping with mental health is D&D because and like I'm sure if I was sat in front of a psychiatrist now, they might slap me on the wrist for this, but for a few hours a week, it's disassociating from the problems and all that, doing a silly voice, pretending I'm something else and I'm somewhere else for a few hours. It's just an escape, you know what I mean? And a bit of gaming, like, you know what I mean? Like playing computer games, even if for an hour, for that hour,
Mhm.
I'm like, I've got a very active brain. Like, if I'm not thinking about something, I'm overthinking stuff I shouldn't be thinking about.
Yep.
I'm worrying that I'm a bother. I'm like imposter syndrome is something I suffer with massively, and I've talked to
Yeah.
you about this quite a lot in the background, Gav. But you know what I mean? Like, so those are the things that help me. Being around my family, having, supportive wife who gets it, talking to my family and stuff about it, doing that exercise, looking after myself, you know what I mean? Like, even if that day is small things in a challenging environment, you know what I mean? Like if when I'm at my absolute worst, and say for example I've been off work, even getting up, doing your teeth, getting a shower, putting your clothes on. You know what I mean? The things that might otherwise feel like a mountain to climb on that particular day, doing them is
Yeah.
because no one's coming to save you. You know what I mean? Like you've got to save yourself, and that starts like one action at a time, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. For me, it's like
Fine.
I like obviously like to sing. Like that really sort of helps me with my mood. Always has done. Video games, playing with my kids, which my son and me, we love playing. We were playing Minecraft before. Playing Minecraft is so good for your
So
mental health.
therapeutic,
You're
isn't
just
it?
building stuff, and the music that's playing is just like so. I listen to the music on Spotify off that game on its own because it's so just relaxing. So I'll
They
do
nailed
that,
it,
and
haven't
then
they? Da,
what's that?
da, da,
Yeah, yeah.
da,
Yeah, it's brilliant.
da.
And then, probably one of the biggest ones is doing this podcast, which is why I've stuck it out for so long. It's been almost 10 years and I've so many conversations with so many different people, and it really helps. I mean this with the greatest of respect to the listeners, but for that alone, screw the listeners. It's good for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really,
100%.
even without, fortunately, we have listeners, which is great, and we have a good support team there. But like, just for me alone, for my own mental health, doing this, and I know, I'm sure for you, Chris, since you've been involved, and you with your
100%, yeah.
YouTube channel,
It was an
such a good way,
unexpected
isn't it? It's a good
it was an
outlet.
unexpected benefit, to be fair. The like when I first come on the podcast as a guest, I was like, oh, I'll do it once, gives Gav a guest, I have a bit of a laugh, I see what it's about. Cool. Walk away. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And then I realized like like I'm like yeah, screw the listeners is always like a funny thing,
It's a
isn't it?
terrible
But
thing to
like,
say, but you know what I
yeah,
mean?
because
Like,
because
it's good
obviously
for
we worry a
you.
lot. We worry a lot about like making sure that the content's engaging for people and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But it's
we've probably
absolutely
lost about 5 or 6 listeners just from saying
yeah, they just
that.
turned off. Yeah, screw the listeners. Yeah, no, no, no. Like, obviously they're important, super important. Like, without them,
Yeah,
this doesn't exist. But at the same time, on the occasion where we cancel, honestly, the thing that bothers me about it is like, oh, I was looking forward to speaking to Gav today.
yeah,
I was looking forward to getting on and having a real conversation about whatever for
yeah,
half an hour,
100%.
seeing a face. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It's good. It really is good.
yeah, I agree with you, 100%.
See why I was so adamant about getting on today?
Yeah, Josh, like, come on, let's do this. I'm
I was
like,
like, dude,
we'll just
please, you don't
move it. Josh is like,
understand.
no, we'll do it today. Yeah,
Like, yeah, no, you don't understand, man. Trust me, I need to talk to somebody.
yeah.
If you do that, I'm
No,
going to
it's good.
ship you glitter. If you cancel this, I'm shipping you glitter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like, is that? I assume that it's the same for you, Josh. Like, what do you do to when you're in a good place? What do you do to help stay in that good place?
Well, I mean, obviously my kids, my wife and kids, I mean, that's the obvious answer. That's first and foremost. Um, and then after that, it's much like you with the show, is me with my channel, because on my channel I have, various videos that are, where I'll have part 1, 2, and 3 of this thing that I'm doing. And I also have my own show that I run on there called Spotlight on Amputees. And it's exactly basically doing what we're doing right now, is more or less just sitting around talking, and just talking it out, and learning more about that person, that kind of thing. um it definitely helps as far as people that are, again, that are newbies, that my day ones, that just, maybe they're still sitting in the hospital right now watching that video or watching whatever, and getting more information than anybody is bringing them. Like, there's nobody right now coming to a hospital room and saying like, hey, when you get home, this is what to expect. When you get your casting, this is what to expect. When you go to deal with the insurance company, so on and so forth, and that's what I try to do with my show. But I guess roundabout is helping other people helps me.
Yeah,
you know it takes the focus off my mind, off myself, and helps me focus on others, whether it be my wife and kids, or another friend that I have, or a stranger. It doesn't matter. If I can, honestly, if I can just help other people and just kind of walk somebody through something, I feel so much better about myself. Like, I feel, and it's not just like, look what I did. No, it's not that. It's just a matter of coping. And it's, I mean, it's it helps people deal with such, stuff that they weren't quite ready to deal with yet, and that definitely helps me, as far as, like, again, taking the focus off my own stuff and just focusing on somebody else for a while. you know
yeah,
Generally, if you can take your mind off your own stuff, you can kind of, take a breather for a little bit. You're not so focused on everything, and
Getting out your own head, isn't it? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, everything's
even
not
if
such
that's by
doom and
helping
gloom.
people but your videos probably provide I guess an element of that like trauma bonding that you mentioned, you know what I mean? Like, even if they're not speaking to you,
Yeah.
just seeing that you're not the only one going through that sort of thing is probably hugely therapeutic.
Yeah. Well, that's what I always say, is I'm not here to be like, yeah, you got this, buddy, and rub you on the shoulder. No, I'm here to tell you this sucks. This fucking sucks. I'm sorry, pardon my language, but
yeah.
this
You can swear, it's
absolutely,
fine.
okay, this absolutely sucks. This is not a great life. This isn't, you see people, doing this stuff. You see people running and doing all this stuff with prosthetics and mountain climbing and all this great shit. The reason that they're putting that out there, it's not for, hey, look at me, look what I can do. It's not that at all. It's a matter of showing you that, look, this is possible. You can do this, and not climbing mountains and stuff, but you can get up on your prosthetic, you can walk, you can still go to the grocery store, you can live a normal life, and it is possible. And that's a lot of stuff that I try to do with people as well, is try to, walk them through. And it's like, I'm not going to sit there and tell you everything's sunshine and rainbows, because it's not. This is horrible. This is not a great life, but it's doable. It's something that we can do. And when you're in this situation, you have to do it. You have no choice. I mean, I guess you do have a choice, but that's not an option, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, you know, so it just helps people deal with their new normal, I guess.
Yeah. That's it. It's all about adjusting, isn't it? It's a new kind of life. It's a new adjust. There's just so much. It's so different to what you're used to, and it's just about finding that. And then once you're on that path, you know what you need to do. You know where you need to go, and it's yeah. That's me
Yeah.
saying that who has no clue. I'm just going off what Josh is saying.
Yeah. It's like much like the difference of getting a divorce or losing a limb. You know, it's like, well, I got a divorce. I lost my wife. I can go get another wife. You know, I can find somebody else and form a new life. So can she. She can do her thing. You lose a limb, it ain't growing back. There's no surgery to put a new one on. There's no anything like that. They don't have limb transplant surgery in any part of the world. I don't care where you want to look.
Yeah.
So it's a big, big pill to swallow. And a lot of people, it takes a long, long, long time to realize it and to quite understand what the hell's going on. And there again, that's where your PTSD and that kind of stuff comes into play. You know, it's not necessarily, I've seen terrible things. You know, I personally have seen some, we don't have to get into it, pretty horrible shit. But, you know, a lot of people, that's where your PTSD comes into play, is that sudden realization of, oh no, this is, oh no, like this isn't coming back. My leg isn't growing back.
It's a final thing. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Exactly. It's that sudden realization of, wow, this is real
Yeah.
and permanent. It's very permanent. And
Yeah.
that, I think a lot of people have a lot of issues with, you know, and I try to help walk you through that.
Yeah. Would you
You know.
say, like, when you first found out you were losing your leg, it's obviously hard to go back to that, but when you first found out, is it is it worse than what you thought it was going to be? And I say that because I would imagine when you first found out you were going to lose your leg, it would have been straight to I'm going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, kind of thing. When
Yeah.
obviously that's not been the case because you've had this prosthetic. Like, did you? Is it worse or is it better than you thought it was going to be? Well, better. You know what I mean when I say better? I don't mean better. I just mean
not
not
as
as bad.
bad. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing is whenever I lost my limb, I already knew several other amputees, just sheer coincidence.
Okay.
And so I did have a couple people to walk me kind of through it and just be like, hey, you know, I'm also a below knee amputee, and once I get that, you know, or once you do get that, give me a call. I can try to help you through, you know, walk through a couple things, that kind of stuff. But there's, you know, when I first learned that I was going to lose my limb, like it was just like, all right, we're out of options completely. We don't know what else to do. This is our end of the road right here, is the last thing that we wanted to do we're going to have to do. And it happens so fast and so sudden that your mind doesn't really have time to prepare for any of that. You don't really
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
understand what's happening.
Yeah.
um you just know that you're about to go in for a really, really horrible surgery, and you don't quite understand the ramifications of what's getting ready to happen afterwards, because it's not that you don't care, you're just not really thinking about it because there's so
Yeah.
much happening all at once.
See, I can't imagine because like at the few times I've been in hospital to have a procedure done, it's been to improve something to the point where like when you wake up, it's a good thing. And it's obviously been a good thing for you as well, but just different because you didn't want to lose your leg. Do you know what I mean? So you're gonna
Right.
wake up, and that's the
Yeah,
reality
it's
of it. So
not
I
it's not
can't
like
even
getting a
imagine.
snip or something where it's like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you've
yeah, like 'cause
chosen to
I've been
do
in for
that.
that, and
Someone's
yeah,
told you it's that or worse.
like kidney stones. Like
Yeah.
I've had kidney stones. I've had to go, be put under to have that dealt with, and like it's great when you wake up because the pain's gone and you're back to the way you were before you felt pain, and it's great. But for someone like you, it's like you wake up and it's not an ideal situation. It's just like you say, it's the end of the road. And it's what they had to do. So
Yeah.
that's obviously got to be a lot. I guess I've said to you just so many times that like you should be so proud of yourself for how far you've come and the fact that now you advocate for it now as well.
You know, you're
You
helping
don't just
people. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like to actually do that, to go through it and then go, do you know what? I've been through it. I've come out the other side. I'm still struggling. but I feel like I've got something here that I can help people with, and like you do it through your channel and stuff.
That takes bollocks like as well.
Yeah, and like I've seen you've been posting on Facebook like videos of other amputees who are going through it, and it's like you're literally like bigging them up, saying like, look at this person's doing it, and
Yeah,
like that is like I know you would have loved to have had that back when you were going through all this.
that's why I do what I do.
Yeah,
I want people to feel special. I want people to feel like, I want you to feel like a rock star in your worst moment of life. That's what I hope for you. And that's what I hope for a lot of my new amputees out there, or just people that are out there doing it, that've been doing it for 20 something years. It doesn't matter. I
yeah,
want you to feel it. Everybody deserves to feel like a rock star for a day. I don't care who you are, what your lot in life is, doesn't matter. You could be homeless and just completely down on your luck. I mean, there's some people that don't deserve it, and we all understand that. But at the same time, there's people out there that everybody deserves to feel like a rock star for a while, and that's what I want people to feel like. I want to highlight people's life. I want people to understand and be spotlighted. And that's what I do with my series. Spotlight on
It's funny you
amputee
say that.
series.
It's amazing that you say that actually, because like honestly, it's one of the things that I find rewarding about doing this podcast with Gav. I've been really lucky that I've been able to stick around and co-host it with Gav. Like, I don't know what we're coming up to now, like 20 or 30 episodes have been a part of it. Obviously, like, what, like a year or something, whereas
yeah. It's
Gav's
been
been
a
doing
while,
it
hasn't
for
it?
like 10 and stuff. But like, when we can bring on guests or just, like, it don't have to be celebrities, just everyday people like you and me, right? Like, just how excited people get about it is amazing. And I imagine that your thing, your videos and stuff is very similar, right? It's just like
Yeah,
something where they can go to mum, dad, friends and stuff and go like, look, I was on this thing. How cool is this? Because I got
absolutely.
that feeling when I was first. I get it now. Every time I see the episodes go up now, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm on that one. You know what I mean? Like it's that little buzz. It's like you're a part of something and you've
Yeah,
got that platform
Yep,
and someone might hear. You know what I mean? And they might like they might listen to something we say on here and they get a laugh and it takes them away from their problems for a minute. Or, you know what I mean? Like they listen to someone amazing talking like yourself, or we've had some amazing guests on in the past like 10, 20 episodes, like Laura Vafiadis, who was, like crossed the oceans in a rowing boat like in like 99 days after losing her father and stuff. Like having people like that on and like people being able to like listen to this stuff, and I'm really hoping this episode will be relatable to people as well because of like the subject and the relative of it, given the that it's mental health month, right? Like men's mental health month.
So there you guys go. It was that was really truly an awesome episode, man. It was something I really really enjoyed being a part of, and again, like I said in the beginning, I want to thank Gavin. I want to thank Chris for having me on and just kind of letting me ramble a little bit. And this is, like I said, something I'm very very passionate about. Something that I've dealt with a lot in my life, and I know that Chris also has. And like I said, it was good just to talk to somebody else that also deals with the same thing. It's always good to deal with people that have the same kind of, they can see eye to eye a little bit, and that's exactly what me and him did. And so Chris, it was amazing meeting you, brother. Gavin, I love you so much. You know that. Like I said, I've known Gavin for the better part of 7 or 8 years, maybe something like that. It's been a while, and yeah, it's been amazing knowing him and just having him as a friend. He's been somebody that I've talked to in the past whenever I'm having issues, that kind of thing. And it's good to get an outside perspective sometimes on things, and that's definitely what Gavin's done for me. He claims that I've helped him, that kind of stuff, but with being on his show and being a part of things, that kind of deal, getting a chance to come on and tell a little bit more about my life and everything else, and just everything else that comes with it, truly has helped myself. It has. And like I said before, I hope you guys have taken something away from it, and I hope you guys found something in it that you guys can carry with you and have that kind of aha moment. And if you didn't, like I said before, I just hope you enjoyed the episode, because again, there's a lot of work goes into these things, a lot of planning, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and you know, it's truly a labor of love. It really is. You know, I mean, we don't get really paid for this or anything. It just kind of, we just do it because we love doing it. We love helping people. We love putting a message out there, and we love just, you know, being a part of other people's lives and a positive impact, you know. So yeah, there you go. Again, Major's Mess Hall is on every single streaming platform that you can possibly think of. Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon. It's here on YouTube. They have a video version of it. So it's all over. There's a link tree in the description, and please, please, please go subscribe, like, share everything. Let them know that MOL sent you. They're great dudes, really, really, really caring people. And yes, they're both from the UK. Gavin lives in Canada right now, but he is from the UK. They're both from Liverpool. And you know, so it's really cool. It's neat having friends, you know, from all over the world, and especially ones that you can kind of connect with and just sit down and talk to like we did today. So, but now, real quick before I go, we have a contest coming up that a lot of you guys have been seeing. Backwoods and myself have a contest coming up. It's this right here. We're gonna have a drawing, and in that drawing we're gonna be giving away some trail cams, some knives, some MOL gear out of my merch store, stickers, hats, there's coffee mugs, I mean, it goes on and on. There's a lot of stuff. There will also be a video in the description, and it'll tell you guys how to get entered into that. So so yeah, with that, you know, go and put your name on the list, and you know, the more the merrier. It don't cost you a dime to enter. We don't need your money. You save your money for your families or whatever it is you want to go buy. We're not asking for that. We're just simply asking for people to come, hang out, be a part of things, and just, you know, come have a good time. You know, I've said it before, it's just fun to play the game, and that's what we're hoping to do, you know. It's not about necessarily giving things away or anything like that. It's just about building community. It's about building friendships and that kind of thing. And that's what our true goal is, and our true aim. And I hope we accomplish that. So on June 21st, we're going to be having a live stream, and in that live stream, that's where we're going to be doing our giveaway. And we're going to pick 3 people that will be added, you know, that are going to be having their name on the list. And those 3 people will, you know, they'll be receiving their gifts as quickly as possible, as soon as we can get it to them. And you know, so yeah, there you go. So yeah, like I said before, go back and watch that video, and it'll give you a little bit more insight on what exactly it is I'm talking about. And because I go into grave detail. The 3 rules to play the game are that you have to be subscribed to myself, you have to be subscribed to Backwoods, and you have to be present to win. Now, there you go. It's pretty simple. If you are under 18 and you do win a knife, what we are asking is that you have your parents send us some type of permission saying, yeah, it's okay to do so, because we don't really feel comfortable sending a person under 18 a bladed weapon, you know. So so we're just trying to cover all bases, you know. We don't want anybody to get in trouble. We don't want anybody to, you know, we just don't want any bad anything happening. So, you know, this is all about having fun, promoting our channels, and just more or less, like I said, building friendships, building community, and just kind of, you know, getting to know each other a little bit better. So there you go. But yeah, that's it, man. I greatly appreciate you guys for watching these videos, being a part of this channel, subscribing to me. And like I said, please go subscribe to Gavin and Chris and the Major's Mess Hall podcast. Amazing guys, amazing crew, and love them to death. They've truly treated me like family, and you know, for that, thank you so much. You know, you guys have treated me like family. That's huge to us. It really is, you know. In your times of darkness and the times that you feel alone, you know, look out to your friends, look out to people around you, and it'll truly let you know that no, you're not alone. You have a lot of life to live and a lot of love to give. So there you go. Everybody, please do me a huge, massive favor, and that favor is stay happy, safe, sane, motivated. Don't look back. Don't give a crap what anybody else says about you, because at the end of the day, it don't matter. We'll talk to you soon.
Well, you always had an eye for things that glitter. Oh, but I was far from being made of gold. And I don't know how that I saved up the money. I just never could quite tell you no. Just like when you were leaving Amarillo, or to take that new job in Tennessee. I quit mine so we could be together. I can't